Hey, this is Camila, and this is episode 20 of the Rugged Angel podcast. Welcome back, or welcome if you are a newbie, if this is your new time around. I'm going to try to keep this intro short and sweet because I kind of forgot my show notes at work, so I don't really have a cheat sheet with me right now. So listen up. Pittsburgh 48-hour film project. We're almost wrapped for 2015. The best of screenings and award ceremony is happening this Friday, July 31st at the Hollywood Theater. Doors open at 6:30 p.m. Go to Facebook, Pittsburgh 48-Hour Film Project for more details and info on how to get tickets and what films are included in the best of lineup. We're giving out the awards and we're going to be crowning the new best film of Pittsburgh for the Pittsburgh 48-Hour Film Project 2015. Also, good news, the Pittsburgh 48-Hour Horror Film Project is coming back in October. You can check out ruggedangel.com for more information. You can also check out our Facebook page. You can also check out 48hourfilm.com/Pittsburgh for more information on when registration opens. Registration will be opening in August. This episode of the Rugged Angel podcast is with Samantha Camp. I think she's the first person that I've talked to on this show that I have never spoken to in real life before ever. And I did not know her at all going into this. And I got to know her. And hopefully I can say that I have made a new friend, which I'm super psyched about. We recently made a date to go sing some karaoke together in a couple weeks. And I'm super stoked about that. You guys may or may not know that I love karaoke. Also, Samantha is an actress. She is like theater all the way in her blood. She's a newbie for the Pittsburgh 48-Hour Film Project this year. This is her first year participating. She learned some new things about herself, and she learned some stuff about filmmaking, which I'm super stoked about. She also makes soap, so she's like the female version of Tyler Durden, even though she's heard that joke many, many times before. I don't get tired of ever making it. So hopefully that stuff, because Fight Club, is one of my favorite movies ever. So I'm always looking for a reason to bring Tyler Durden into the conversation and hopefully into my home. So let's get into this conversation with the Army brat, Samantha Camp. I won't keep you for too much longer. Your words of wisdom. When women support each other, incredible things happen. Let that wash over you. Let's get into the show.
I originally thought I was going to do really children's books, and then my voice is apparently too sexy for children's books. I was told.
There
Someone
are
told
worse
me.
things to be told.
Yeah, there are worse things to be told. So I have just recently started auditioning for adult.
Really?
Yeah. Female-based erotica apparently is the largest growing segment of audiobooks.
Really?
Yeah. Because, well, I guess it's perfect for women because they can, listen to it anywhere. Because normally
Right.
they'd be on the bus and you have to worry about the back of the cover.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
yeah, you don't have to worry about that with an audiobook. And so
That thought
erotica
never occurred to me.
hadn't me either. I'm like, you're sitting on a bus, listening to porn. Why not?
Right.
And, at first I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then I thought, well, that's kind of, it's funny. And it's not like I'm doing it. I'm just.
Right. You're just reading the words that somebody else wrote.
Right. And so, the most graphic thing I've had to read in an audition was a masturbation scene. So it's just kind of funny. I'm entertained by it. To go from trying to do children's books to.
Yeah, right. It's like the complete
It's complete
opposite.
360.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, no, it's 180.
Yeah,
Exactly.
180, exactly.
Not quite a 360. It's
That's amazing.
It's not, yeah. You wouldn't think it.
So welcome, Samantha Story-Camp, to the Rugged Angel podcast.
Yay!
This just took a turn for something different that I
That's
wasn't
okay.
expecting at
That's
all.
okay.
So
I do that to people.
yeah. So okay. So have you gotten any yet? Have you
I have
gotten
not.
any?
Well, no, I've submitted 2 auditions
Okay.
for that, but I just decided to make that my focus. When we were packing to move, I'm like, I can't be trying to do that, and because I just moved cross country, so I can't do that and move cross country at the same time. So we just finished getting my booth set up, and so in the next week or so we're gonna get that going again. But I have auditioned for 2. If I checked my email, there might be something. But apparently, when I was researching, because ACX is the audio, like the audiobook.
Okay.
It's through Amazon, I guess. That's where they generally send all their books through. It's through this acx.com thing. And it's like the audio something exchange. Those novels tend to be the least active because they have the harder time getting women to audition for those.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess so. I mean,
so the authors frequently will like ignore it, and then they'll go like 4 months later. Oh, look, I have somebody auditioned. This is really exciting. So that's what I'm counting on. I'm counting on desperate.
well, you know, I mean, we all have our things. We try to think positive. Otherwise, just kind of go for more of desperate.
But if I'm too sexy for children's books, then
you only got one place to go.
Where are you gonna go? You go to porn.
It's erotica. It's not porn. There's a big difference.
It is. It's erotica.
Do I call you Samantha or Sam?
Samantha's fine. Sammy, hey you.
Hey you, Sammy. Okay.
I answer.
All right. So you recently moved cross country.
Yeah.
You said
From
where?
Tacoma, Washington.
Tacoma, Washington. And how
3
recent?
weeks today.
3 weeks.
We were in town 1 week. Well, actually, we were still in the truck. We were in about Wyoming, and my friend Marcus text messaged me and said, "Hey, what are you doing next weekend?" Why? What do you want? And he said he was involved with this, and I said, "Oh, let me check." And so, my husband and I kind of sat on it for like, do we want to do something the week after we got there? Oh yeah, we'll go help. We'll go help. No big deal. It'd be nice. It'll be nice to see Marcus. We figured if nothing else, it'd be a weekend not unpacking.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, okay, so we agreed to it. But I think we were in Wyoming when I got the text message.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then like you were on the truck, and then you just when did you arrive in town? You were in the town a week before.
July 4th.
Okay.
Yeah. So the week before.
Were you guys the ones in the audience at the
B,
screening?
Group B.
And someone said something about okay.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't put 2 and 2.
Yeah, and what was nice though is because we had agreed like the day before to do it, and then the crew all showed up to my house and helped us unpack the truck.
That was beautiful.
Isn't that great?
See? No, that's amazing. You got like built-in movers,
I
right?
know. Well, yeah, because we had a washer and dryer and a fridge and things that was too heavy to move by ourselves.
Yeah. Where? What area did you move to?
Munhall.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We
You say that with some
I know.
confusion.
Well, I used to live
some
here.
disbelief.
It's kind of disbelief. I used to live here, and I think I had heard of Munhall. I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
There's no reason to go up there
right.
unless you
live there.
Right. I mean, there's like a couple small businesses, but there's really no draw
Mm-hmm.
to Munhall. And we were doing the whole Zillow search, and I would send out, hey, can someone go look at this house for me?
Right.
Because we rented it pretty much sight unseen.
Oh.
And can someone go look at this house or this house? And so we had sort of had focused on Westview and then sort of South Hills.
Okay.
Sort of liked those things. And I'd called about a place in the North Hills, and they said, well, this one's gone, but we have this one in Munhall. I was like, okay. And so they sent some photos. I'm like, well, this is kind of interesting. And so I sent a friend of mine over, and she's like, Sammy, this house is so you. I'm like, oh, okay. Send me pictures. And she sent me pictures, and I'm in love with it. Like, it has the built-ins and the dark wood trim and the pan. I mean, it's gorgeous. And so we walk into this house we've never actually been into. We're like 2:00 in the morning. It's pouring rain, and we're like, this is awesome. So yeah. So everyone's like, Munhall? I know. We live. We've been jokingly referring to it as 1970s Pleasantville. That's kind of what it is up there.
That's cute.
If you've never been, it's kind of what it is up there.
I have a couple of friends who do live up there. I mean, I don't go up there that often, but yeah, it does have that kind of vibe.
Yeah,
where it's just
very
like
70s
really
Pleasantville. It's kind of weird. And every time we meet anybody there, they're always apologizing for how boring it is. We're like, no. This is good. The neighborhood we just left, we were having shooting problems. And,
oh, goodness.
Yeah. And so there was a shooting 3 doors down from my house the day we left.
Oh.
In Washington. So I'm like, no, boring's good. I'll take boring.
Yeah,
Boring's
exactly.
good.
Okay, so you said you moved back here to Pittsburgh. Are you from Pittsburgh originally?
I went to college here.
Okay.
I went to Point Park. I have a theater degree from Point Park, and I was here, I think, for almost 15 years, not quite 15 years. And I was gone for 12. 8 of which I was wanting to come home.
No.
It just like you don't realize how much Pittsburgh gets under your skin until you leave, I think.
Right.
And it's a people thing mostly. The people here are just, they're different.
It's definitely a difference. It's a lot of, I guess there's a lot of imports here.
Yeah.
A lot of, I'm not from Pittsburgh originally. And, I don't know, I guess I've been here long enough as to where I'm considered a Pittsburgher, but it's still, I mean, I guess I don't have the telltale signs that I don't care about football or any of the sports.
Yeah,
And, you know, just
Yay,
like
sports ball.
go sports ball. Yay, team win. But yeah, like there is it's something special about the people here in Pittsburgh, definitely.
Yeah, and having moved from here to the Seattle area, and I say all the time, Seattle is the most beautiful place on the earth, and the people there are very nice, but they're not friendly.
Interesting.
And there's a huge difference.
Yeah, so they're just very, hello, thank you, excuse me. Yeah,
right. They're very pleasant. They're very pleasant. It just there's no real connections. I was there 8 years before I actually had a circle of friends.
Oh wow.
And that was tough, you know. And here we come back here last year, and my husband had never been, and like 60 people met up with us for the 5 days we were here. I had not been in town in 8 years at that point.
Wow,
But
that's
like 60
amazing.
people, right? And so we were on the flight going back, and I said, okay, we leave Washington and come back in 10 years. How many people come meet us? And we could think of about 6 or 7 that would actually put forth any effort.
Right.
Everybody else, you know, it's all convenience. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it is. Bruce thinks it has something to do with because it's such a small area. It's so many people in such a small, tight area.
Here in Pittsburgh.
There.
Oh, okay.
It's even more condensed there. And the weather is crap because it's misty all the time, and
right.
that does weird things. And then I think that when you're out, you want to get your social interaction because you need that to not go insane.
Right.
But you don't want to invest anything because it's just too much.
Yeah.
I think it just becomes overwhelming. Plus, there's the whole segment of, you know, it's all it's CompuGeek land, you know, because Amazon's there, and you know, Google's there, and Boeing is there, and there's a Nintendo there. There's all this computer. It's very Real Networks is there, Zulili's there. So there's all these compu people there. Yeah. Who are not necessarily, not always, but not necessarily people because they spend all their time staring at a screen.
Right. Interesting. So, that makes sense.
You know, it's not a judgment on them. It's just it's a different type of person.
Yeah, it's just a different vibe.
I'm used to this. I'm used to someone going, "Oh, honey, don't wear that." You know, and you know, I was at this audition and I had a button open on my shirt, who knows how long. And I remember looking down on it going, how long did someone let me do this? Because that would not have happened here.
Right.
I'm like, oh, no, you got to fix that.
Yeah.
Or please don't wear those shirts with those pants. What are you thinking? And so I like that. I mean, you have to sort of get used to everybody being up in your business because they will. You have to take the bad with the good. But if you're having a catastrophe, people will be there for that too. They'll celebrate your victories with you and they'll help you through the bad stuff. Whereas there, it's too much work.
Yeah. That's very interesting. I've never heard anybody describe Pittsburgh as such. I mean, you know, most people that I know do describe it as a friendly town, or you know, the people is definitely
family.
Different. Yeah, a lot
Friends
of
are more family. I think.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I felt after the first couple years that I lived here. You know, I got a nice group of friends, a tight-knit group of friends, and they were considered like family to me at that point. And to this day, it's you know, some of them are spread out, they don't live anymore, but we're all in contact all the time. And you know, if they come back here, then yes, there's going to be a bunch of us that meet up with them. It's let's
I was gone 12 years. We always do these monthly sort of potluck game night things, and we had over 25 people show up. And I've been gone 12 years. You know, to come hang out with us for the day. And people came and helped us unpack. And people have just come over and say, what do you need today? You know, people have been giving us stuff. Like, oh, you need this? Oh, I have a weed whacker. I'll bring it over. So, you know, but you wouldn't get that there to this, especially not to this extent. You know, and so it's a people thing for me. Yeah. As much as and plus there's seasons. Yes, there are definitely seasons here. I mean, the only time that I hate Pittsburgh is in the winter, honestly. I miss it. I miss being snowed in my house. I miss having to walk somewhere because my car will not leave the drive. I miss that. You are such a romantic. But I like that. No, I've always liked that. I've always been I'm not so crazy about the hot and humid, but I like winter. I've always liked winter. So, I mean, some of my favorite memories are from when, oh crap, we got 12 inches. I'm like, 8 hours. What are we going to do? We can't go anywhere. It's like, I had a birthday. My birthday's New Year's Day. And there was a blizzard on my birthday. And I remember, okay, I can't move the car. The buses aren't running because it was that bad. So I trucked down. I was living in the slopes at the time. I trucked down to Southside Flats, and we wandered around until we found a restaurant that was open. And so there were like 4 of us, and that's it. In the restaurant with just us. Like, okay, but that was a really good memory for me because, and the winter was absolutely involved. So
yeah,
I'm excited.
I can see that being something precious about that as to where like you.
So we're not going to get any this year because I want it so bad. So everyone's been telling me I brought the rain. I will apparently keep the snow away. That's going to be the goal. I guess.
That would be awesome. I'm totally down with that.
Especially the last 2 years.
Oh my God. Yeah. Like this last couple, I wouldn't mind it so bad if I didn't have to be anywhere. If I had the option to work from home, then, it wouldn't matter to me at all. Like if I'm expected to be somewhere, that's when I'm just like, you know what? Fuck this weather. Like I can't even with this anymore. Cause I would be totally fine being snowed into my house. I'm totally good with that. And
I do work from home most of the time. So that's,
so see,
it's okay.
So anyway,
you can kick me under the table.
So you're not from Pittsburgh originally. Where are you originally from?
I'm an Army brat.
Oh, okay. So you just kind of moved around a lot.
Yeah.
Mom or dad?
Dad. I was born in Germany.
Oh wow.
And then mostly Texas, but there was some time in Georgia. There was some time in Michigan. There was some time in Colorado. I don't even remember Georgia. I was just told it happened. But mostly Texas. So high school was Texas.
Were you able to spend all 4 years in the same high school? No. Okay. So when you were here in Pittsburgh and you got your group of friends, you think the fact that, you had to bounce around so much had a lot to do with the fact that you were able to make roots essentially here to put down roots?
As long as I've ever lived anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I moved a lot within, I was in Lawrenceville for a while and I was in Southside for a while. We lived in Carnegie for a while.
Right. But you were able to establish deeper friendships at that point.
Yeah.
You were here for 12 years, right?
Almost 15.
Almost 15 years. So so that must have been like a really big change.
Huge change.
For you.
And when I moved here, my entire family was here. My mom was here.
Oh, okay.
And sisters and my brother were here. And now my brother's still here. Everyone else is gone. We're all scattered.
Gotcha.
So, but I moved back. So my brother and I live in the same area again.
Are you guys close?
Not particularly, but we're working on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were all so scattered for such a long time.
Right.
And everyone's sort of had their lives. And I'm sort of forcing myself on him.
What's the age difference?
5 years.
You older or younger?
I'm the oldest.
It's just you two?
It's me and then 2 other sisters and then him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, the oldest of 4. What was that like growing up?
I had a completely different childhood than they did, even though there's only 3 years. I think it happens. I have 5 kids and a stepdaughter.
Do you?
Yeah, Bruce and I have 6 combined. But my older kids, there's a huge difference. There's 14 years between my 3rd and my 4th.
Mm-hmm.
They had a completely different childhood than the little 2 do. I mean, it's a completely different animal. So I think that happens.
Is it just because becomes a difference in your parenting style personally?
I think so. I think there's parenting differences from first to second kids. I call them batches. So first batch and second batch. I mean, they have Lorelai and Perrin have the advantage of having gone through single parenting these kids,
right,
and all the upheavals and all this, all the stuff, and so they can't get away with anything because no, your sister did that first, and she was better at it than you are. Good, nice try. That's cute. That's cute. You think, I'm not buying it. So, but I'm much calmer, and I don't take things personally. I think when because I was with the first batch, I was the youngest parent of the groups.
Gotcha.
And then this time, I'm one of the older parents in the groups, and so. But I'm much calmer. I don't take it personally.
What, when they like freak out and I hate you and blah blah, you don't let me do anything. You're just like, meh, I don't care. All right.
Talk to me again in an hour.
Right.
When you want cheese or something, you will change your mind. Yeah. Plus, just life. The older you are, I think the less you realize it's about you.
Right. No, that's a really good way to look at life too, and that's. It would be great if that's something we could have figured out when we were like in high school and stuff, because where everything is about you in high school.
I think we need to go through that. I think I always sort of view it as sort of a pendulum. Like if you're over here to the right, you have to get to the middle. So you always overshoot it just a hair. So, either everything's about me or nothing's about me. I'm over here, I'm hiding. And so eventually it just sort of balances.
At some point we balance ourselves
swings
out.
in the balance, and then you're much easier to be around. And for some, I know people in their 70s who still haven't found that. I know people in their 20s who have. And so I think everyone has that. Their pendulum takes longer or shorter, but I think everybody eventually, unless there's an untimely bus accident, gets there. I think we all get there eventually.
That's it. Yeah, I think you're right. There are some people that I wish we get there sooner, but sometimes
I'm not thinking of children of mine. Yeah, no, I would agree with that statement. But but I think even those people who do take longer, those of us who are trying to get closer to that balance, nudge us to where we need to be.
Interesting.
You learn what you will and will not put up with.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You learn who you are based on who you don't want to be sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Truth.
So, God, this is the most zen I've been in months.
Is there anything?
No one's gonna believe this is me.
Anything in particular that has caused this? Is it just because you feel like you're back in Pittsburgh?
Being back home is huge.
Mm-hmm.
But even it's been so interesting because I'm back in this group of people who knew me 15 years ago, and I was way on the other side of the pendulum, and I knew like even then I knew like eventually it would balance out, but I had all this like single parenting, and I went back to school like later. I was 30 when I graduated with a theater degree, and I had a theater company, and I'm like running around like a chicken with my head cut off, and it's hard to. Is that me? I'm making vibraties. Oh, you shut up. My phone talks to me. Just trying to find that place, and so I knew I was driving people crazy, and people would tell me I was exhausting. I've always been very driven. So now I figured out a way to have my driven and not exhaust everybody around me in the process.
Yeah.
Because I think we think, oh, well, I'm this driven. You should be this driven too because you're more talented than I am. What the heck's wrong with you? And realizing that has nothing, like their ability has no reflection on yours, and their drive or lack of drive has no reflection on your drive or lack of drive. And so you just go over there and do your thing and say, I will grab you with me if you want to go. No?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm over here.
There's a seat for you if you want to come along. Like, okay,
yep.
If not, that's cool.
My husband will disagree because I drag him into stuff all the time. But that's how you live in this. Like, hey, you want to go do this thing? Sure. But I think that's a huge thing is that people still sort of see me that way. And so now they're like going, wow, you're way more together than I thought.
Well, that's great.
Okay. It's kind of funny.
Well, I guess it's just, it's in the aspect, the fact that, we're constantly changing and other people have to catch up with who we're changing into as well as ourselves. Like we kind of have to catch up with who we've changed into or who we're changing into. Right. It's just a constant journey, hopefully, is the way I would like to see my life is, I don't want to be stagnant and, just be like, this is going to be me. This is the way I've always been. And this is the way I'll always be kind of thing. I would love.
There are people like that.
Right. I want to be the one who continues to learn and, learn things about the world and learn things about myself and just, figure out everything I'm never going to have all the answers, but at some point I'm going to become, I've gotten to the age where I am definitely comfortable with who I am. Yeah. I'm growing more and more comfortable with who I am and who I'm becoming, more and more every year. And I haven't figured out yet if that's just age, if that's just life, or if that's just
probably some combination.
Yeah, or like the people that you like. You're saying you learn what you will and won't put up with, and when you choose those people to be your friends, your family friends around you, you end up encircling yourself with like a really good group of people, hopefully. And when you have the reflection of those people loving you and respecting you and
You getting to love them.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, does that have something? It's just always something. It's just like, does that have something? What does this equal to that? And blah blah blah, and that kind of thing. Like, what came first, the chicken or the egg, kind of thing? Why?
And I think because I have lived so many places and I have moved around so much, and so I've spent a lot of my time trying to develop new friendships and seeing what works and what doesn't work. It makes you appreciate the ones that have stuck around.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, like, I know, I'm not dumb. Like, I'm coming back to these friends. I've been gone for over a decade.
Right.
Like, I know we're not going to be able to pick up exactly where we left
Right.
off, and everything's going to be exactly the same. I was hanging out with a friend last night, and I realized, I'm like, oh my God, I became the mom of this group. Like they're all dancing and yelling, and I'm just like, it's too loud over here. I want to go stand by the pillar. It's the speakers. It hurts. I can't. They're like, well, do you want to drink? I'm like, no, I'll do D. No. Like, well, we can get a DD. I'm like, no. I'll do D.
It's okay.
I
I'll have my Chardonnay. It's okay. I just have the one
I'll
Chardonnay.
have one glass of wine all night. I'm good. I can sip on one glass of wine all night. Yeah, it's just, so it's funny. So they're all like looking at me like, where did you go? I'm like, no, I'm still here. It's loud over there. I don't want to be over there. So that's interesting. So we'll see how everyone adapts to Sammy plus 12, we'll see how that works out. But it's been fun. It's been interesting. It's I don't know. We'll see. It's only been 3 weeks, so we'll see. Yeah. Like in a year.
Just exactly what role that you put yourself back in, or find yourself in.
What's really funny is I've had several people, because I'm very active on Facebook. I have a small business, and so I'm very Facebook heavy. And online, I refer to my husband as the Bruce. He's the Bruce.
The Bruce.
He's the Bruce. We started dating when I was 39. I'm like, I am too old to say this is my boyfriend. Like, it just felt weird.
That's so funny that you just that you say that, because just earlier today I was thinking, because my mom she doesn't refer to my sister's boyfriend as her boyfriend, or she doesn't refer to my aunt's boyfriend as her boyfriend. She refers to him as her friend. And I'm thinking in my mind, it's probably has something to do because they're so, like, my aunt's in her 40s, almost 50. I'm like, it's probably has something to do with the fact that my mom refuses to call this grown man a boy friend.
Right.
So,
and if you've met Bruce, and if you saw the film, he's manly. He's manly.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like,
he was your counterpart in the film, right?
Okay. So it's like he doesn't look. He's not a boyfriend. So he was I'm like, this is the Bruce, and so I refer to him as the Bruce online frequently, and so people have been so excited to meet the Bruce as if he's some kind of celebrity. And so that's been really funny. So like people have been super excited to meet him, and they're introducing themselves to him. The dog is going crazy. And so like you see them sort of get like, oh, it's the Bruce. And I'm just standing back laughing. So that's been really fun.
So you've made him into a celebrity.
Yeah, that's okay. He can have the moment. It's funny. It's cute. And we did not, like, we thought we were going to go help with this thing. And, next thing we know, we're like, wait, what? You want us to do? And poor Bruce, I mean, I've done lots of film. He hasn't.
Really?
Yeah. The only stuff he's done is the stuff I've dragged him into. So, and so he's like, he's looking at me, I'm like, you'll be fine. So like I'm coaching him between takes. Mm-hmm. Like, you'll be fine. Just bring it down. You'll be fine. And this is panic. But he's pretty good. He just goes with the flow. So.
Nice. So what, you mentioned you have a small business. What is your
I make soap.
Do you?
I do.
So you're Tyler Durden.
And kinda. There's no thigh fat involved. People make that joke a lot. It's really funny.
Yeah, I know. I
had never seen the movie. I had once, but it was at a party and I don't remember it. So I had to go back and watch it where I would remember it. Right. And it was a long time ago. So I rewatched it. What the heck people were talking about? I'm like, I don't get it. I know there's soap. I don't get it. So now I'm like, oh yeah, no. There's no lipo fat. And we frequently, like, people will start to go, I'm like, no lipo fat. Like, just stuff it there. My youngest has a lot of allergies to stuff, and I had made soap sort of as a hobby, and so it was sort of combining the two things, like, what can we put on poor parent and that's not going to kill him, and then I get to make soap. Plus Bruce does all the cooking, so I never get to cook, and so it has a lot of that cookie kind of aspects to it.
Well, how does one make soap without the fat?
I use vegetable oils. I use vegetable oils. Yeah, there's ways that you can do, like, you can do the whole lard and tallow route. Tallow is beef fat,
Okay.
and lard is pig fat. I didn't want to render because it's. I mean, yeah. It's not like I have like some deep philosophical issues. It's just gross.
It's icky.
It's just icky. It was the ick factor was enough for me. But I use like palm oil and coconut oil and things like that, and with the right mixture, it comes out kind of the same. So we have it's 78 different kinds right now.
78
different kinds. Actually, my husband that's where he is right now. He's peddling soaps over at Bakery Square.
Really?
Yeah, there's a market thing happening, and yeah, at one point we had 115, and that got stupid, so I had to get rid of some. Like I can't keep up. But we've been doing it for 4 years. It's kind of,
What's the name of the company?
Pip and Lola'S Everything Homemade.
Pip and Lola'S Everything Homemade. Is it just soap, or are there
we
other
just
things
do soap.
too? Okay.
But we do like shave soap and shampoo soaps and facial soaps and dog soaps. Puppy soaps.
You do puppy soaps?
I do. We have Bad Dog, Dirty Dog, and Sweet Puppy.
Ooh.
Are you a sweet puppy?
Where can one find these? Is it your website?
PipandLola.com.
All right, cool. I will definitely check that out because I was actually looking today to try to find a more natural shampoo for the dogs.
Yeah,
Just because
and
I'm crazy like that.
like there's depending on which one you get. Some dogs are allergic to lavender, so you have to make sure you know if your breed is or is not.
How would I know?
I
Just
don't know.
just Google.
Because someone told me that once. Because I started making it for the grand puppy. My son's dog. He wanted to soap for the dog. I'm like, I have cats. Go do research. They have a slightly different pH than we do.
Okay.
So you have to pH it slightly different. So theirs is their skin's more basic than ours is.
Interesting. Okay, so let's bring it to the Pittsburgh 48-hour film project. We've kind of touched on it a little bit, but okay, so this was your first year, ever participating in the 48-hour film project.
I've always been busy. Like people have asked me in the past, over in Seattle, but I've always been. I do a lot of theater, so I've always been like, I can't because I got a show. I want to, but I can't. Because I was asked like 3 days before, and
now I'm assuming you already knew your
I knew Marcus.
Beard Machine.
Yeah, I knew Marcus.
Was the name of your team.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Marcus was it wasn't his team, but he was one of the members of the team.
Okay.
And he brought us in. And that was it. That was all I knew. I think I may have met Victor. Victor's Marcus's son. I think I might have met. I didn't know anybody else.
Okay. So what were your thoughts going in? Like, did you have any idea of what to expect?
I knew... Because I had a lot of friends who had done it in the past, I knew like the idea of it. I knew like, okay, we had these parameters and this is what we had to do. And we had this much time to get it done, go.
Right.
I knew that. I thought we were going to help. So I figured
you're going to be holding a boom mic.
I'm holding a boom. I figured I would like, walk across the back of the room. I'll go be a body over there. That's kind of what I was expecting. And then we went to help and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm like, and I made the mistake. And this is one of the things. If you're going to say you're good at something, be prepared to do that.
Right.
Because
you can't just come by and it's like, hey, I'm a really great actor. And then leave.
That wasn't,
like,
no, I didn't. That wasn't even it. We finally, like after hours and hours, had come up, okay, this is what we're going to do. And I said, I'm really good at writing dialogue. I'm not so great at plot, but I'm really good at dialogue. So if you guys need help like tweaking dialogue, I'm your girl. And next thing I know, there's a laptop in front of me. So I wrote the screenplay.
Go at it.
I'm like, I've never written a screenplay before. I don't know. You're leaving the room. Where are you going? And so they all go outside to smoke, and I'm writing a screenplay. So that wasn't expected. I didn't know the right format, so I'm like. I'm trying to remember because I've done playwriting, so I'm like trying to remember. I'm like, okay, we did like a section on screen, like that was different. You're supposed to do like a fade in, and I've read enough at auditions, so I'm like going, okay, interior, like I'm trying to like figure out, like this is not gonna be minute per page. I have no idea what I'm doing. So the dialogue is good. So so I wrote a screenplay.
Awesome.
It was their idea. They came up with.
But you wrote the dialogue.
But I wrote the dialogue.
You were very good. I enjoyed you guys on that, and I liked the idea of the story.
Thank you.
I really liked it. I thought you were very good.
Thank you.
But unfortunately, your film was late.
Was it late?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was late.
Yeah, it was late.
Nobody told me that. Was it really?
Yeah.
So it was like out of qualification for stuff?
Yeah. Sorry.
I didn't know. No, I didn't know.
He was probably bummed. They were probably too bummed about it to say anything to anybody.
Nobody showed up. Like, it was just me, Marcus, and Bruce that came to the screening.
Oh, that's why then, I guess. Which is kind of lame because you could have still gotten an Audience Choice Award.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just all the other awards that you weren't eligible for
that's
anymore.
Too bad.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But it's still a really good film. I enjoyed it.
I was quite happy with the way it turned out. I know that they weren't.
Really?
Yeah. It was me. So there's me and Marcus and Bruce, who were like 40 plus, and all the young guys. Mm-hmm. I'm the only girl.
Nah.
And there's all these young guys, and they're like, "Well, we want to do the shoot 'em up." I'm like, "Okay, great. That's great. What do we have? What do we have? Do we have resources to do that? Do we have any? No."
Right.
So there was a little bit of battling over it, and they kept like saying these things. I'm like, "Okay, but that's not dark comedy." Well, it should be shocking. I'm like, dark comedy's not necessarily shocking. You take this like normal everyday thing and you make it this, and so there's a lot of, and I don't think they were happy with it. And then they had like a lot of tech problems at the end. I know that they were having some massive sound issues.
Oh.
And like there were supposed to be voiceovers that were gone, and there's a whole scene that's gone. Huh. And there's one particular Steadicam shot was gone, and so I knew they were having tech. I did not know it was late.
Well, I think, I was surprised with the way the film turned out because I only know, and I forget the names, but of the two main guys who always show up for like the meet and greets and stuff, who the team leader.
Like Chris Friedrich and Victor, probably?
Yeah, I think so. And so I was surprised to see that film because I would have expected a shoot 'em up, like you were saying, like what they wanted to do. That I was expecting something like that. Yeah. Something a little more coarse, not as subtle as what was given. But that was one of the reasons why I really enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this is surprising. This is something different coming from these guys, and I really appreciated it. And also the fact that you had one location, and I enjoy movies like that can really.
Well, 4 to 7 minutes.
Well, right, yeah. But I mean, there's like some people really try to like do everything in the world, but it's just like. When done right, one location and dialogue-heavy film is just like is all you need. Like it can take you, it can tell a great story, and with the right actors and the right the correct writing and everything. And I was into it. I was into your film, and so yeah, it was a shame that it was late, but it doesn't take away from the fact that you guys made a really good film.
Thank you. I was really I was thrilled with it. I was really kind of bummed that they didn't show up.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, that is. Well, the one guy, I think Chris was his name. He told me that he couldn't get off work.
Yeah,
or something
and I knew
like
that was one of them. But there was a lot of us. There was like 10 all told.
Yeah, that's. You take the time to you put your creativity out there. You take the time to make the film. It's a good film, or even if if you're not 100% happy with it, go and support your film. Support the people that supported you that were in the mix. Like it's a good time in general. Just going out there and like seeing everybody else's films and just seeing how the audience reacts to your film. Yeah. It's always a nice thing to experience.
People laughed in all the right places and they cringed in all the right places, and it was really great. We were at we went to the Apple. Afterwards, and a girl walked by with one of the posters from one of the other films, and I'm like, I love the posters. I wish we thought of posters. Those are great. And then she was like, oh, you guys, and just for like 5 minutes, just was like, I didn't know. Did you drink the coffee? Did you not drink the coffee? And I wanted to ask, but I was afraid to ask because I didn't want to ruin it. And she just like was going crazy. And I had a couple of Facebook messages where people were like that they loved that. They loved that they weren't. Did she?
Right.
And so. I thought that was a good sign.
Yeah. So there you have it. I would imagine that I would think that your first 48-hour film project was a success.
I would think so.
Is that something you want to go back and do again? Would you?
I'd like to. Yeah. I don't know if these guys will work with me again.
Would you like to? Would you lead your own team? Is it?
Oh I don't know enough
Did you
about
feel
the techie
comfortable?
stuff about, like it's the tech stuff. I don't know.
Well, as a team leader, that's where you find someone who knows about the techie stuff
Yeah.
and defer to them.
You go. Yeah, I probably would. Yeah.
The team leader is essentially the
I tend to
producer.
take things over anyway, so I probably would do it. I'm the queen of that. Like, no, let's try this. We should try this.
So, you went to school for theater. You were a theater major.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to do that? Like, why theater?
Theater. Okay, so
And what's funny is, by the way, everybody that I have been talking to for the Pittsburgh 48-hour film project, all of you ladies have some sort of background in theater. All of them.
Oh, really?
All of you, yes. Like, there's been like
well,
6
I think a lot,
or 7 of you.
I think it, for me, having had a stressful childhood, is that a good way to phrase it? I started doing theater. My first show was when I was 8, but I really started when I was 6th, 7th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I fully believe that theater saved my life.
Really?
Because a lot of people who have had similar upbringings that I had go the drug, angry, bitter route. And I didn't. And I think it's because I was able to find a group of people to be with that were able to channel their own garbage into this thing. And so that sense of community that's created from that. But also there's something, you play these parts, and you're exposed to these parts, and I like this aspect of this character. I'm gonna keep that. I like this aspect of this character. I'm gonna keep that. And so like I've done 137 shows, something like that. A bunch. I do a lot of theater. Getting to sort of like take all of these positive and sometimes not so positive, but all these aspects of all these different people and just sort of like layer them on makes you really, really capable of dealing with tough crap. So like when tough crap happens, you're just like, you know what? I got this in my back pocket. I got it.
I'm going to put this suit on.
I'm going to put this suit on. We got this. Plus my high school drama teacher sort of took me under his wing. I mean, like, I still refer to him as my dad. And I fully believe that saved my life. So I feel like I owe it something.
So you owe something to theater?
I feel like I do. So it's not, everyone's like, oh, the applause. I'm like, okay, that's nice. But
you're giving thanks to theater for...
Yeah, it's like my tithing, I guess.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody refer to it that way.
Yeah.
Refer to the acting and, getting involved in it that much. Like I've definitely heard people say that, it has saved their lives and they were able to function better because of it. But I've never heard anyone say that they want to give tithes to the theater.
Yeah, I feel like I owe it something. I will frequently, like I do a lot of, I like to make events. And so like even my wedding was a fundraiser for a theater.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my 40th birthday was a fundraiser for a theater. I did these fake Tony Award things. And so if I can, that's what, like you always joke about, like if I win the lottery, what would I do? I'm like, ooh, I could set up a foundation. This one we get some, and this one we get some. We were going to do another fundraiser for like a bunch of small theaters before we left Washington. It just, like we were doing Agamemnon. So I was moving a business and a family and playing Clytemnestra. And I'm like, I can't throw that on top. I will be a not nice person and they won't remember me fondly. I would rather they remembered me fondly. It's like, oh.
So have you done film at all? Television?
A little bit. I audition. I'm too fat for film. I get told that. I had a casting director in Seattle who said I either had to gain 50 pounds or lose 50 pounds. I had to pick a side.
Wow.
Yeah, and my face is too round, I've been told. And so I mostly do little indie things, which are more fun anyway. I know.
Yeah.
And now I'm over 40, so, I'm no longer fuckable, so I don't.
Did you see that thing?
I didn't get a party though. I demand my tea party for my fuckable years being over. I demand it.
Well, I'm almost there, I guess. Next year, I'll be right along that side there. I'll be 40.
Although on stage, boy, I still play plenty that are. I'm fuckable on stage, even if I'm not on film.
You know what? Fuck them, because I feel like, I mean, obviously you've been told you already have the sexy erotica voice.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's always something, there's an attitude that goes along with it. So
and I had a director tell me when I was doing King Lear that I could do the world's sexiest forehead kiss.
Oh, really?
So
there you go.
Yeah.
And women over 35, they know what they're doing much more. Anyway,
I'm not as bendy, but I make up for it. My husband's gonna be so proud.
That's my wife, the Bruce. So, are you anxious to get into the theater situation here in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I just left an audition. We'll see how that went.
Oh, you already started auditioning and stuff.
Yeah, I managed to wiggle my way into a callback.
Ooh, congratulations!
I know. All you have to do is ask sometimes. If you ask, have a couple online videos and, a couple of Best Actress Awards to back you up, you're like, can I come to it? And they're like, okay. Thanks. And then you're very, very grateful and you do your best work. And then yesterday I auditioned for the Pittsburgh New Works Festival, which is always fun. I did that a couple times way back in the day. Mm-hmm. And so that's sort of nostalgic for me. And then today I was asked to come in and read. But I think my nerves got the better of me today. I was a little jabbery, and I jabber when I'm nervous. So, it's people always think I feel so comfortable in my own skin. I'm like, no, if I can shut the fuck up, that's how you know I'm good. Sammy's just standing there not talking. Oh, she must be comfortable.
She's fine. She's cool.
Good. She's fine. She has her knitting.
This woman hasn't stopped talking for the past hour and a half. I'm not sure if she's still breathing. That's what's happening.
I know.
Somebody help her. Somebody help her. Are there certain roles that you tend to gravitate towards?
Lately, I have been playing vengeful murderesses a lot.
Ooh, that's
fun. A lot of that, and emotionally detached people. I've done a lot of that lately. It's been it's a weird combination.
Yeah.
So Shakespeare, the recent Shakespeare ones. I played Lady Macbeth recently. I played Goneril recently. I played Tamora in Titus Andronicus. One of the critics said I was the bloodthirsty queen of all horrors. I just love that. Love that.
And put that on your business cards.
I know. Samantha Camp, bloodthirsty queen of all horrors. I did. I just played Clytemnestra, who kills her husband because he killed her daughter, that kind of thing. But then I've also been playing these, I played Ma Jode a couple years ago.
Ma Jode.
From Grapes of Wrath.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and I had a whole year of those sort of tight, stiff upper lip, little cracks. I'm personally one of those, I don't know what you see. I'm not even going to try to go into an audition and figure out what you want. This is what I got. If you can use it, awesome. And if you're going to put me in a part that I would never have cast myself in a million years, okay, that's okay too. I played a 28-year-old last year. Really? I'm like, okay, really?
Thank you.
Played 28 in June and 50 in August. Yes. Yay for distance. Soft lighting. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And a lot of people try to figure out what their type is. They're like, well, look at your resume. I'm like, okay, look at my resume and see if you can figure out a type in there, because I can't.
Well, that's a good thing. Is that you're kind of all over the place. You're versatile.
I like creating the people. I like creating people. That's kind of fun for me. It's like, okay, I have these words. I have this scenario. How can we make a person come out of that? So it's kind of fun.
Do you kind of give them your own backstory? Like, if there isn't a lot of information in the play about what that character's backstory is, do you like to give the character a backstory yourself?
Absolutely.
That helps you?
It does. And you figure out the figuring out of why. Like, why? Okay, I'm doing this thing. All right, so I'm doing this thing. Why am I doing this thing? And then you sit there, and I always try to go through, is there something that's mentioned 3 times or more? That's probably an indication.
Interesting.
How do other people refer to her? That's an indication. When I did King Lear, year and a half ago. I was really proud of that show. I'm looking at the script, and like you do all the research, right? And all the research says she was lying to him in court at the court. I'm like, but nowhere does it say it.
Mm-hmm.
Except nowhere does. I mean, even Lear doesn't really say that she was lying. Like, where does it say when she says "I love you" this much that she was lying?
Mm-hmm.
There's no. It's always been played that way.
Right.
I mean, every single time I've ever seen Lear done, it's been played that way. But I'm like, what if she wasn't?
Huh.
What if she wasn't lying? And everybody accusing her of lying, and all this crap that happens because Lear goes nutty.
Yeah.
That's what makes her crazy.
Interesting.
So that's what we ended up doing. We ran with that sort of idea, and I find that way more interesting.
Yeah.
I did Amanda in Glass Menagerie last November. The director at one point, I swear to God, he looks at me and goes, "You're overthinking her. She's just a bitch." And I'm like, okay.
That's really not good directing.
That's not good directing. It's really, and I said, okay, it's your show. If that's really what you want, that's awesome. I'm not your girl.
Mm.
And I put my script in front of him. I'm like, unless you can find one line in there that says that, because I can't find any. I can find like 13 that say the opposite.
Mm.
I'm like, don't tell me how Laurette Taylor played it, because I know she played it that way, and I know it's generally played that way. That she's just kind of a harpy. But why would Tennessee Williams have written about a harpy?
Right. It's like at this point we're not just mimicking what we've already seen.
Right. So I found Amanda terribly interesting to play. It was a shame hardly anyone saw the show because they're like, oh, Glass Menagerie. But I found her terribly interesting to play because, God, all those layers. And they're like, okay, so she says this stuff. But why? You know, and I find people fascinating for the same reason. Like, okay, you're a pain in the ass. Why are you a pain in the ass?
Right.
Like, where's this coming from? Like, why do you feel that this is okay behavior?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm sure like people being jerks to me. I'll just like staring at them like, why are you doing that thing you're doing? Like, I don't get why did you just push that person down? Like, I don't.
It doesn't make any sense.
Stop. I'm trying to make it.
So far, was there any one role or a couple roles that have just kind of like that have been your favorite that you would?
Kate Jerome
In
Brighton Beach Memoirs.
Why?
So Neil Simon and I've gone to parties and spouted off for hours about how much I hate Neil Simon, and so the fact that I'm even saying this is like, so I auditioned for this show, and the one show I didn't, I'm like, oh God, they're doing Neil Simon because they had a whole season. I'm like, oh, I want to do these other shows. Oh, they're doing Neil Simon. So of course that's the one I got cast in, right? Because that's how that works. Kate Jerome. So it is in that show, and it's also in Broadway Bound, which if you've never read that, you need to read that play.
I've never read that.
It's gorgeous.
It
was nominated for a Pulitzer. It's absolutely gorgeous. Like, if you go into it thinking, oh God, Neil Simon, you're going to hate it. But if you go into it and just look at it for what it is a gorgeous play about the end of a marriage and about the beginning of these boys' career.
Interesting.
You know, but I could play Kate every day for the rest of my life. She, you know, she's the matriarch, and plus I'm trying to play 10 years older than me, so I'm like, and I'm channeling my grandmother as much as I can, but she has so much weight on her shoulders, and she never ever wants to let it show. So there's all these like little teeny tiny moments where you can just let a little bit of a crack, just a little bit of a crack, and just finding those times to a little bit of a crack. You know, and in Broadway Bound, she finds out her husband's been cheating on her, and she confronts him. And so this very emotionally controlled person is having to tell the man she's been married to for 34 years, I know what you did, you dick. You know, and it's just like, and so like, and the director gave me so much leeway. I had this one line that said, I'm just so angry. I swear it took me 30 seconds to spit that line out. Because he just let me, and it's just like I'm walking in circles because she's just trying to like not blow up and blow up and not blow up and blow up. It was so, yeah. I could play Kate Jerome for the rest of my life.
Wow.
I know, and it's Neil Simon. Sorry, Shakespeare.
The one you didn't want.
The one I didn't want. I know. Yeah, but I'd play her all the time.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to check out that play. I'm gonna have to read that because it sounds very interesting. I like that. I like stories like that. Just something where there's some sort of depth.
What Simon does good, what he's good at, is that he's good at bringing these serious storylines and then having all this levity on top of it. He's good at that. So like there's this storyline was like, oh my god, we had this big job at CBS, and then there's a storyline of my marriage is falling apart, like, and they're just intertwined, and just sort of how like the one makes the other react and vice versa, and like, okay, what do the boys do? What, it's so, yeah, I know, I can't believe I'm
gushing
over Neil Simon.
Absolutely gushing.
I know.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with your top 5.
Okay.
And I'm also going to ask you a random question. We are back with Sammy.
Yay.
One of the things I forgot to ask you, how do you take care of yourself? How do you make sure that, when things get all stressful and whatnot, or things you knit?
I do.
How long have you been knitting?
4 years. I take knitting with me wherever I go.
Oh my goodness.
I do. I knit all the time. I knit between takes. I knit backstage. I actually think I'm a better actor since I started knitting.
Really?
I do.
Is it more of a zen, like a focus?
I think so. Well, yeah, and plus, if you've ever been backstage anywhere, like everyone's like, remember, gossip, negative.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to listen to that. And so I kind of, I hang out backstage. I call it hiding in my hole. I go hide in my hole, and I've got my knitting and my script or whatever, and I'm just like, can't hear all the stuff that's happening. What am I supposed to be doing? It sort of keeps my hands busy, and then it just sort of it sort of like knits away the nerves.
Nice.
I'm a little neurotic, so it helps with the nerves.
You're a little neurotic.
I admit it. I'm famously so. I have really, really high expectations of myself, and so,
Right. So with that comes, with great high expectations becomes great responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Your neuroses.
My neuroses go flying, and I've been playing more and more leads lately, and it's like, it was funny because I hit like 37, and all of a sudden it's like, here's all these fantastic roles. Okay.
That's awesome.
I'm not complaining.
Right.
So, but that, it's like you're playing Ma Jode and Clytemnestra. I mean, who gets to play Clytemnestra? Like, that's never done. And so there's a certain, you have to be extra good if it's like you.
Well, obviously, somebody thinks you are.
That's very sweet of them. It's very sweet of them. I don't know. I try.
I'm sure you're delivering.
I'm trying. I gotta try. So I was at my callback last weekend, and this they were auditioning for Mousetrap, and there's this really sort of hard character in there, and so we get done with the scene, and I'm reading this really hard character, and this woman sort of leans over to me across the aisle, and she's like, "I don't know who you are, but you're terrifying." Score. Thank you. I'm not really, but thank you. I'll take it.
That's great.
I'll be terrifying.
All right, so now we're going to get to your top 5.
I
believe I assigned to you the top 5 things you learned from competing in this year's 40-hour film project.
That's what I got.
And I also completed a list, because I do that as well.
Okay.
I do the list also, but obviously it's not this year, but like the first year that I competed in the 48-hour film project was my list. So have at it.
Okay, my list is be prepared for how long it takes to decide what the film should be. I cannot believe how many different scenarios we went through.
How long did that take you guys?
Uh,
Did you at least come to an idea by the end of Friday night?
We did. No, we had a script by the end of Friday night.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's mostly because they gave up and they just popped the computer in front of me and had me do it. Yeah. So it took about 2 hours. Because by the time we got there, they had decided on the hitman. And they had that in their head. It was a newbie hitman. And so they were trying to do all these things. It's like, okay. And so then the cancer idea came up, and I'm like, oh, we can do that. And so then we had all these scenarios, and there was this fantastic cup sitting on the counter. And so the cup very much became part of it. And but just even that conversation, I just felt like there were lots of times where I'm sort of watching everybody sort of yelling back and forth, kept going, not my circus, not my monkeys, not my circus, not my monkeys, not my circus, not my monkeys. So along that, the next one was know what resources you have. because they kept saying, well, we could do this. I'm like, well, do we have that? Well, no, we can't. Can you get that by tomorrow?
Right.
Yeah, no. So I think knowing what you have on hand. I mean, like, there are some ideas that are fantastic, but if you don't have access to a car, or if you don't have access to bungee cords or whatever,
right,
that doesn't really work if you can't. This one, don't use more technology than you know how to use, like the back of your hand. That's what bit us, and I didn't realize it made it slate, but that's what bit us. Is we had all these awesome toys, and so before we even started shooting, it took them like 4 hours to figure out how to use all this crap.
See,
so,
that's what you must do. If you get new amazing toys, make sure that you figure out how to make them work before your 48 hours.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's not going to do you any good.
Some of those toys are amazing. It's stupid what they can do.
Right.
But if there's no time for a learning curve. Bring a pocket full of patience and something to do.
Hurry up and wait.
Hurry up and wait. And don't be surprised if you're the only girl in the room. Those are my 5.
Yes, that is always a thing that is very
it's
troublesome.
Opposite of film, it's opposite of theater, because theater,
it's crazy,
outnumbered.
Right? And it's just always something that's bothered me. Like, I have yet, I think, to come across a team of all women, which I would love to see. Love.
I just feel like I was just like
challenged.
Damn it. I can meet people now.
But it's like completely, like, the women are like generally in the minority in the 48-hour film project here in Pittsburgh anyway. And I want that to change.
Yeah. There's a lot of us here.
And and I'd also like to see a little more color in our filmmakers as well. Not to say I'm against white men, but guys. But okay, so just like a little bit more diversity in our 48-hour film project. But I do appreciate everybody who participates and takes the time to do something.
And then it becomes a challenge. It's like, how do we reach out to those people who may not think that it's for them, or
right?
Yeah.
Basically, what it's going to end up being is I'm going to have to go around and start actually talking to classes and things like that, like going to like AIP or Point Park or wherever, and like just talking to these kids. All right, so the top 5 things that I learned when I was competing in the 48-hour film project. I don't like camera work. I do not want to be a camera woman. That's when I learned that situation. I was like, nope, don't like it, don't want it. You can have it. Keep plenty of food and drinks on hand, because people's blood sugar gets low and there's already frantic behavior happening.
Well, and if you've only ever gone on sets where there has been a craft table and you go to this thing and there isn't one, and you're like, I didn't pack anything.
Right, I have no granola bars or anything.
And you're in the middle of McKee's Rocks. There's nothing. Right?
Yeah, because you'll find yourself in the middle, like some remote location that has no convenience store or a McDonald's or anything nearby, and you're just screwed if you don't have a packet of what I call emergency nuts in your purse.
I have glucose tablets because I'm hypoglycemic. There's always glucose tablets just in case. And my husband's a Jewish mother, so he always makes sure I have a lunch. So, but if you don't have that,
my husband is a Jewish mother.
Aww. You should let them go play together.
It is. It's so adorbs. It'll be like, "Are you hungry?" No, I'm okay. Well, I made this meal for you. I was like, I'm not hungry. I don't want anything to eat. Well, how about this? Just have a little bit of that.
At the audition today, and I look in my purse, and there's a bag of apples. I'm like, when did you cut me up an apple? When did that happen? Yeah.
Yep, he is very good for that. No, because I do, if not, when he goes out of town, I will eat hummus and pretzels for dinner and be okay with it.
Bowls of cereal.
Yeah. So, thanks, Danny. Don't allow more than 3 writers, usually. I was in a situation once where we had like 5 writers or something on Friday night. We thought we had a good script or whatever. Saturday morning, I look at it and it's just trash. And so we had to like completely rewrite everything. And then we got started like in the middle. We didn't get started in the middle till the middle of the day. And it was just like a big, just crazy pants situation. God. So yeah, too many cooks.
Yeah, there were like 9 of us in that kitchen. And I'm like, Can someone just make a decision?
Yeah, because there becomes a lot of that. It's a lot of, well, idea on top of idea on top of suggestion on top of, hey, wouldn't it be funny if that kind of thing.
And then I started feeling like a Nazi because they kept going, we don't have.
Yes,
You
and then
said we don't have.
you become the bad guy when
I
you're
know.
like, that's really great, but maybe on another time during another different
We
40
don't
hours.
have time limitations.
We are like down now to 36 hours that we have.
That's something I would do, is I would have a countdown clock or something.
Oh, yeah, that's a good call.
Because time management, I think, is clearly what bit us.
Right. Yes. I enjoy producing. I very much love that. That's where
I like that too.
I kind of.
I've produced commercials, but I've never produced a film.
Yeah, so that was more of my. I do enjoy that, and also, you're gonna have to. I had to be on camera even though I didn't want to be. Like, I was like,
Be prepared.
yeah, exactly. Be prepared to step outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because it'll more than likely it'll be best. You don't have a lot of options at any point in time. You don't want to be the jerk off that it's like, well, we could have got this done if so and so had figured that they were okay being in front of the camera. It's like, and I have no like real reason why. It's just I just don't like being judged on my physicality. So
You get used to it.
Which is why I never could have and would be an act, or just because I just prefer to be, judged on my abilities and like the things that I'm actually doing and not just the way that I look, which I know that's not the way it should be for actors,
I know,
but that's just.
Some of the best actors I know don't get work much because they're little balls with feet.
That's a shame.
That is a shame.
That's a real shame because, I mean, we're all not in. This world isn't made up of just like pretty perfect people, and I don't know. It's just sad to see that certain people, like you were saying before, like you've reached you're over 40 and now you're no longer fuckable, and this all started to with the casting of the much older men and like women who are now like Maggie Gyllenhaal. I think she's like what 35,
37, I think.
Yeah, 37, and she's too old to be Robert De Niro's
I know.
love interest.
Isn't he 70?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And
it's like, speaking of not fuckable.
Yeah, exactly. And Woody Allen, he's always been unfuckable.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And I like Jew men. I know. Yeah,
I like the Jews.
I do. I love me some Jewy goodness. I would tear Jon Stewart up, but nope. Nope. I do.
So yes. All right. So I've got this book, 4,000 Questions for Getting to Know Anyone and Everyone.
Oh.
And I've picked a random question for you. Do you believe in ESP, telepathy, telekinesis, clairvoyance, or channeling?
Yes and no. I believe in it, but I don't believe it happens as often as people say it does.
Okay. So
I think some people want things to happen to such an extent that they make them happen.
Okay.
But I do believe that I've had too many instances where when you have a close connection with someone, you just know something's not right.
Right.
Those I have to call you now situations. So I believe that we do have these sort of like spiritual, for lack of a better word, connections with the planet and with each other, where we can sense. I do, however, believe that we dream about things that then happen, because that has happened, like the whole deja vu dream thing. I do believe that.
Right.
I have personal experience with that. I don't know about moving your glass without touching it.
Right.
But I think that's one of those things. Like if I believe it enough. But hell, who am I to say that you shouldn't believe in something crazy? I believe all kinds of crazy crap.
No, this is true. Like I feel like ESP and like you were saying, when you have a connection with someone, I believe in that too. That you just get feelings, and there's always like things with my mom, my sister, and myself. Like we grew up like my mom's single parent, and so it was just basically us three growing up, and that was our family. So we were always very close, and so but they live in Atlanta. I live here. It has been that way we haven't lived in the same city for like since '98. But there will be things that happen, like, you know, we'll say, well, we all had had the same thing for dinner at the same night at the same time kind of thing. So just like be weird little connections like that. Or it's like, oh yeah, I picked up this book. It's like, oh my God, I'm reading that book right now. That kind of thing.
You pick up the phone to text somebody and you're getting
a
text.
Or a phone call. It's just, so it's just like things like that. Yeah. And yeah, you're right. You know, like moving things with my mind. I'm not so, you know, maybe there's somebody who can do it. I don't know. I can't. But
my brain ain't that strong. My body's barely that strong.
I know. Believe me, if I could figure out a way to move things without me getting up and doing so, I would have figured it out by now.
I do believe that our bodies and our minds are way more capable than we give them credit for.
Truth.
So, you know, I mean, I see so many people whip out that can't word and I want to punch them. And it's like,
yeah.
Have you tried?
So are you, because I'm a firm believer of positive thinking.
Yep.
And it's not to like the annoying aspect, but just the point of where I really try not to let negative thoughts come
that we
in.
Never do.
Right. I really try to, you know, just think more positively about things, and, you know, like, just don't say can't. Don't say, you know, things like that. And I don't know. It's just a lot of times people don't give themselves enough credit or feel like that they are either deserving or able to do a lot of things or accomplish a lot of things in their lives. And that bums me out when I see people with like straight up talent or ability and they won't.
There's this phrase that I love, which is, don't compare your insides to someone else's outsides.
Huh.
And I think that's where we goof that up. I think we spend so much time going, oh God, they look so together. Oh God, this. I can never be. And we have no idea what's going on in their head or what's going on in their body. And so, you know, that when I heard that one for the first time, that was about 5 years ago, I was just like, ha, light bulb, ding, 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 ding. That makes sense to me. I'm going to take that home with me. But I think we do that. I think we shoot ourselves in the foot all the time. And we glom onto people who either are what we want to be, or we glom onto those people who represent what we think we already are. And I think that's a mistake that we make. I think if we glom onto people who are who we think we are, we're just going to like end up in a ditch somewhere. And it's no bueno. But if we try to surround ourselves with people who their outsides look like what I want my insides to be, then I think that's a positive.
Right.
Okay, so one of the reasons I wanted to leave Washington is, and I was told this way too many times, and I fear that it sounds egotistical, but so there was a time I wasn't getting cast and stuff, and so me being who I am, I approached a couple of directors and like, what did I do? What can I do to fix it? Like, what's happening? And I had more than one director basically say to me that I was too much better than the other actors. I made them feel bad about themselves.
What?
And I'm like, okay, so if I'm in a show with someone who's better than me, it forces me to bring my A game.
Right.
I like that. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh crap! I gotta run faster. I'm gonna keep up with you. I did a show last summer with someone. I'm like, A game. I'm gonna be tired. Jeff Behrman, and I said, I'm like, well, wouldn't that make people go up to? And he said, no, because what happens is when sometimes people see that you're there, and rather go, well, I can never go there, and they actually go down.
What?
So then they would just cast sort of in the middle so that nobody felt bad, so they actually wouldn't lose momentum.
Oh my God.
That makes my head hurt.
Yeah. It's like, really? This is like turned into some sort of social experiment or something. Yeah. I don't understand why.
And I've had people go, could you back off? I'm like, no, I can't.
Why? Why should you
because I was making
bring
people,
yourself down?
I'm like, am I insulting people? Because I know I wasn't.
Right.
But, I'm like, am I insulting people? Am I having too high expectations of them? They're like, no, but they feel like they can't keep up with you. I'm like, okay, that's not their problem,
exactly not your problem.
Not my problem.
It's like there's a saying. My grandmother, my mom say it's like crabs in a barrel. It'll be like people are just trying to like when they see somebody else trying to get out, see that crab trying to get out of the bucket, the rest of them are just going to pull them down. Just like, or like.
Crab in a bucket. Yep.
Crabs in a bucket. And it's just like, wow, that's really not.
It's true. And you see it a lot. And so it's hard because sometimes to go to the next level, you have to leave those crabs behind you. And sometimes those crabs have been in your life for 20, 30 years.
Right. Sometimes you got to cut them off.
Yeah. And it's hard. And no one's saying it's not hard.
No.
It's just sometimes you have to. And so, you know.
It's more of a, are you more concerned about your well-being or that person's well-being? And it's like.
It's a hard.
Sometimes to make yourself.
It's a hard decision. There's a very upset puppy outside the door.
I know. I know. Life is so hard for Professor.
I know.
Okay, well, I guess, that's Professor is telling us that it's time for us to wrap it the hell up. Plugs. Where can people find your soaps and all that?
The soaps are online at pipandlola.com. And we have a Facebook page and a Twitter feed, and we're on Instagram for Pip and Lola. I know, it's so horrible. God, I'm Instagramming.
She's on the gram.
I'm on the gram. And IG. And then I don't even know if that's a thing. And
it is today.
Is it? Today is a thing. I'm a trendsetter. And then I personally have a fan page on Facebook.
Okay.
I didn't start it, so therefore it's legit. And then I know I'm an admin, but someone else started it because they're like, I want to hear about your acting. I don't want to hear about your kids.
Well, what is that? So what is that? Is that just your name?
It's Samantha A. Camp. Because I don't act under my married name because I'm a dork. And so, and then there's SamanthaCamp.net.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you, Samantha.
You're welcome.
Sammy. I appreciate you hanging out with me today.
Absolutely. It was fun.
Yes, I had a good time.
Why have we not been friends for years?
I don't know, dude. Because you lived in Tacoma, Washington.
Well, that's a little thing.
For the last 15 years, I think you probably left the time I got here.
Probably. Sounds like it.
But now that all changes.
It's all changed. We're best friends from today on.
Yes, BFF forever.
Yay!
RuggedAngel.com, and I am also at @the_Rugged Angel. Thank you all for listening. This has been a Rugged Angel production.